What's up, MSM1876? So, yeah, in regards to your message, I love me some Jim Cornette. He's probably my favorite wrestling mind in the business. I really like Razorman's stuff when he talks about booking, but Jim Cornette is hands down probably the most creative if you're listening to old school wrestling psychology. The most underrated guy to listen to, though, that a lot of people don't listen to much is J.J. Dillon. So if you have a chance, listen to his stuff. He actually used to book the entire Maritimes area. The promotion, it was known as Grand Prix Wrestling. The whole thing was they had three brothers that they would book the meanest and nastiest heel they could find, which would be like Kilgore or Wild Bull Curry. Ha! There's a name from the past, Wild Bull Curry. Haven't heard that in a while. And what they'd have the heel do is go through the smaller junior technical type wrestler brother first, then make his way to the middle of the road all around technical brawler type brother, and then finally they would make it to the third brother, who was the Beast. Of course, that was in a no-holds-barred match, which would end the summer season. However, in this case, J.J. Dillon did something I think was really ingenious, where he reversed it. And the first guy he got thrown up against was the Beast, and he beat him by getting Beast DQ'd or running away or whatever it may be, outsmarting him by hitting him with a chair or something like that in a regular match. Then it was time for the second brother, which would do some gimmick matches around the horn, but the second brother was the brawler and the technical wrestler, so it was a little better of a match. But what would happen is J.J. Dillon would always outsmart him, put his feet on the ropes or whatever it may be, and then finally the last hope of these three brothers was actually the guy who usually was the first one down, the really technical wrestler. He was the only one who could stand toe-to-toe with J.J. Dillon. So it was really cool. I think it was way, way, way ahead of its time. And pretty genius, if you ask me, actually. But hey, enough about my ridiculous encyclopedia of wrestling type knowledge. So on to your video response. I was hoping that people would understand that my question I was painting with really broad strokes when I said you're wasting your life waiting for hope that could be wrong, based on an interpretation that could be wrong, based on an ancient text that could be wrong. That's the reason why I went into the examples I did, talking about the Quran and the Bhagavad Gita. I was figuring that someone would challenge me on it and give me reasons why their hope is right, because their interpretation is right, because their ancient text is right. I see it's going to take a little more prodding to get you to see my point, and that what you're talking about here cannot possibly be 100% guarantee. So let's take a look at your arguments. Firstly, the scripture you talk about where Paul is discussing being absent from the body but present with the Lord, I've heard a few different interpretations on that one. One is Paul was speaking about a vision that he had, so it was his subconscious having a vision being with the Lord, but he was still alive. Another I heard was in regards to Paul just being able to astral project. Your point about Christianity being an ancient tradition with the Bible reflecting that tradition is pretty much a moot point. That's the reason I brought up the Bhagavad Gita. This is something called appeal to antiquity. It's a logical fallacy in which you claim something is right simply because it's old. The Bhagavad Gita is older than the Bible and reflects the tradition of the Hindu religion. Buddhism is certainly older than the New Testament and reflects the tradition of Asia. I'm sure since you're a Christian, you think here just because the ancient texts are old and can be traced to ancient civilizations that survive until today does not make them right. But to not apply this same logic to your own religion, at the very least, is hypocritical. In a similar vein, both Christianity and Islam are both based on the Torah, which have equal claim to the same tradition throughout time that you're discussing here. In many ways, Mormonism could claim the same, since it's a continuation of the New Testament. Still, all three of them point the finger at each other, and that their hope could be wrong based on their interpretation that could be wrong based on their ancient text, even though they have the same starting point that could be wrong. Isn't it the craziest thing when you think about it? Going on with your appeal to antiquity, you talk about Irenaeus and the fact he's only 2 generations removed from Peter the Apostle. In fact, he could be the Padawan, he could be the Emperor, hell, he could be the Grand High Dungeon Master of Christianity. It really doesn't matter. The older the text doesn't necessarily make the interpretation accurate. You realize even a generation after the ride of Paul Revere, it was believed he completed his mission and wasn't stopped more or less immediately, unlike his contemporary Dawes, who actually did warn the Patriots. At the same time as Irenaeus, there was a man named Simon Magus, who is mentioned in Acts chapter 8, verse 9, who taught Gnosticism. Two people, both around the same time period, both had the same writings. They were probably receiving the same instruction from the same men, from the same writings, and two totally different conclusions are based on them. One, the more traditional Christian viewpoint in Irenaeus, and one, the far-removed Christian viewpoint in Simon Magus. So, which hope do you want to waste your life going towards? Based on which man's interpretation that could be wrong? No matter how many writings of ancient Christians, no matter what time frame it's in, it's essentially a pissing contest of who's better because their belief agrees with your own. All of which is based on the Bible that could be wrong. Wait, maybe this can illustrate my point a little better than the way that I'm saying it.
Maybe I should just end it all. Right here and now. Why shouldn't I?
Well, there's so much to live for.
Like what?
Well, are you religious or atheist?
Religious.
Hey, me too. Are you Christian or Buddhist?
Christian.
Me too. Are you Catholic or Protestant?
Protestant.
Me too. Episcopalian or Baptist?
Baptist.
Me too. Are you Baptist Church of God or Baptist Church of the Lord?
Baptist Church of God.
Me too. Are you Original Baptist Church of God or Reformed Baptist Church of God?
I'm Reformed Baptist Church of God.
Me too! Are you Reformed Baptist Church of God Reformation of 1879 or Reformed Baptist Church of God Reformation of 1915?
Well, I'm Reformed Baptist Church of God Reformation of 1915.
What? Die, you heretic scum!
I'm hoping you see what I'm getting at here. Appeal to antiquity is no reason to believe anything. There are plenty of ancient writings by men who were in the same time period or shortly after Muhammad which fully supported certain interpretations of the Quran. It doesn't mean their interpretation is correct of the Quran, nor does it mean the Quran is correct. What is the proverb? It's all vanity and striving after the wind, right? Who's to say the scholars that you're reading are the right ones from the time period? Hell, just look at the scriptures, man. One belief has 4 scriptures backing it, another has 6. What's the point? Every denomination of Christianity will take ancient scholars out of context, or even in context, or add their own interpretation to create context to support their ideals. In the end, it all boils down to faith in a hope that could be wrong, based on an interpretation they gathered from linking together scriptures, scholars, writings, and morals that could be wrong, based on an ancient text that in the end could be wrong anyway. That's the reason I did the presentation at the end of the video. It wasn't just to be entertaining and funny or sarcastic or anything like that. It was to think about why the other religions say they believe in their religion, or why they cling so tightly to their afterlife hope. It's the same reason, regardless of the religion. Is what I'm saying here making any sense at all? Tim Kilgore, signing off.